Oleksandr Usyk has just become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Last time I made a breakdown on Usyk, he had just moved up to heavyweight, and I said I was excited to see how far he could go. Well, as it turns out, he went all the way. It makes me very feel. But how did a cruiserweight manage to overcome so many physical disadvantages? The short answer is pure skill. Let's look at how. Usyk has three major deficits while fighting at heavyweight: his height, his lower weight, and his shorter reach. Many times his opponent has had an advantage in all three, but Usyk has a way to negate all of these obstacles and turn the fight to his advantage. To deal with the opponent's reach, he must first get around their longer jab. One of his go-tos is to use what's called a bump, knocking their arm up from underneath. An outside to inside parry is another classic. And he'll use this same motion as a trap, pulling down the opponent's guard when they're in a more defensive kind of temperament. He could fluidly move between all these tactics while feinting and setting up jabs, all by circling and level changing his lead hand, like he's conducting a violent orchestra. Something that usually goes hand in hand with reach is height. The big problem for Usyk here is that a taller opponent basically means he gets a shorter reach when it comes to headshots. In other words, the more he has to reach upwards, the less he can reach forwards, exacerbating the reach discrepancy.
What do you mean?
It means that his opponent can simply reach out to touch him, while Usyk has to move his feet in closer to make up for the lost reach.
Now what does exacerbate mean?
It means to make things worse. But it doesn't matter because Usyk has a way around it. To start, he can simply target his opponent's body, which will not shorten his reach. Once he conditions them to the threat, and they get used to defending it, he can change it up and go for the head. In trying to block the body shots, they'll create an opening for him. But beyond this, he can use the positioning of his feet paired with the position of his shoulders to create better angles that elongate his reach and block off his opponent's punches. You can check out my recent video on southpaw foot positions for more specifics. But the gist of it is that Usyk can move his foot outside to better line up his rear hand punches, or move his foot inside of his opponent's to shorten his jab. This inside position also creates a good angle for liver shots. On the other hand, it leaves him open to his competitor's rear hand, so it's pretty risky. But Usyk is elite, and he can mix and match his foot and head positions. For instance, he can take an outside foot position, but slip his lead shoulder inside his opponent's, shortening his jab to beat them to the punch, while still being able to follow up with outside angle footwork and punch selection. You can check out my first video on Usyk for more specifics on his footwork and jab. And you can check out my popular book on footwork if you'd like to learn all of these positions and more. The last thing Usyk has to deal with is the humongous weight discrepancies between himself and his rivals. The two major threats here are that his heavier opponents can hit harder, and it will be easier for them to out-wrestle and bully him. Usyk's guard, head movement, and footwork help him avoid taking big shots. As for those who try to rough him up and tire him out in the clinch, a little bit of basic wrestling goes a long way. Like Henry Armstrong, one of the greatest fighters of all time, Usyk will drive his head and shoulders into his opponent's shoulders and chest, maintaining his balance as he turns them out of position. He'll also duck under to escape or set up more shots, similar to one of Lurdzilla's favorite tactics. Or underhook to shrug them off. Once he has the smallest bit of space, he can push away and get back to work. I'm looking forward to the probable rematch between Usyk and Fury, but I'd honestly like to see Fury versus AJ more at this point. Let me know what fights you'd like made and how you think they'd go. From the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training and glory to Ukraine.